Right, here we are. Another little walk around the garden on the 12th of July 2022, and we'll start at the front of the house. Down there we have a fuchsia, Mrs. Popple, doing very nicely, very hardy, one of the most favourite in this country. Got a honeysuckle that's finished a long time ago, but the Wisteria is just starting to flower again. This is its second flowering. It does actually have a third flowering. We're very lucky. It's up there starting as well. Up there. So, roses are having a bit of a rest at the moment. So we'll walk on through. Petunias, pansy, rose having a rest. That's a begonia sutherlandii. Very pretty. A few young plants. Roses waiting to be deadheaded. There's actually a blackbird's nest in there. That clematis is a pearl d'azur, and up there we have Madame Alfred Carriere. It's still flowering. This is second lot of flowers. That'll flower right through till the frosts. That smells lovely, thornless, fantastic rose. Here we have some sweet peas. They've done very well this year. They're still doing well. I pick them every day. Beautiful. They're just growing in those tubs. They do all right. Here we have the tomatoes. They're almost growing too well. Haven't fed them this year. Must have plenty of goodness in the tubs from last year. As you can see, the tomatoes are coming along. All the tomatoes in here are what's called indeterminate. They will just keep growing. Well, they won't because I've stopped them, but they will just keep growing until the frosts come along and it's just too cold. We've got some different sorts outside. A few more sweet peas. More roses that need deadheading. Done well. So here we have a very nice hydrangea. A lace cap, I don't know what sort it is, it's just lovely. More young plants, verbena. And here we have all sorts of things. Obviously we have our geraniums. And we have dahlia. This one is the Bishop of Leicester. Oh, there's a bee there. Let's have a look at him. There we are, he's having fun. Those are coreopsis. They do well, I like those. That's another dahlia, I've forgotten its name. I know it, but I can't remember it. I've got it written down. This is Madame Alfred Carriere again. More geraniums. Anyway, there's the Madame Alfred Carriere. That will repeat flowering right the way through until the frosts. It's a real good old favourite, that one. Love it. And there's that white hydrangea. Another hydrangea, struggling, a bit dry there. Another pearl d'azur there, and that's struggling. It's had its best, but it's been very, very dry. Oh, here we have our little rose. This is quite young, so it'll grow quite tall. It's a rambler. It's called Ghislaine de Feligonde. Really does nicely. It's not very old. Anyway, well, that's another dahlia. What one's? I can't remember what that one's called offhand. I'll think about it as we go round. As I said, we've got the Bishop of Leicester and we've got the Bishop of somewhere else. Anyway, here we have the one and only hosta. Flowering, more geraniums, pelargoniums if I were to give them their correct name. Still can't think of what that one's called. Oh, yes, I can. It's the Bishop of Llandaff. That's what it's called, the red one. There we have a Himalayan honeysuckle, otherwise known as a Wisteria. That sort of keeps its leaves all winter. Very pleased with that. Got 3 of them in the garden. That's a fuchsia. Sits in the shade most of the time, quite happily. A lot of baby begonias there. The Sutherlandii, looking for homes. Anyway, let's have a look down the garden as we're here, before we go any further. Anyway, here we have all the fuchsias in pots. They just live in those all the year, from year to year. They're going to start flowering shortly. There's an acer, lives in that pot all year. So we'll move on. That rose is called pink flower carpet, and that now will flower and keep repeating all the way through. There's a hydrangea over there in front of the little house. Well, there we've got a phlox. Got quite a few of those around the garden. Well, there's a climbing rose. That's climbing iceberg. There's actually some more up there. Don't know whether it's looking into the sun, but anyway, there is actually a clematis there. That's I know that's the Comte de Bouchaude, but again it's more or less finished. And here we have our blush noisette. Love this rose, and this will keep repeating. You can see some little buds coming again here and here. This one's old blush china. That'll keep flowering. Needs deadheading obviously there. So we'll move on. Look down the garden. There's 2 hydrangeas. There's one in the ground there and one in a pot. I guess the one in the ground could do with a bit more water. Hasn't had any. Well, there's some more phlox coming out, and a honeysuckle. This is a fuchsia called, what's it called? It's called Beauty Queen. That's what it's called. Just remembered. And another lovely hydrangea in a pot. So let's go inside the little house. All Sylv's pictures. So look, sit down, have a look through the door. It's lovely and cool in here. We built this a few years ago. Let's sit over here and we'll have a look from a different aspect. That's it. Right, move on. So, there's a little pear tree. It's only young, it's only its 2nd year, so it should have flowers on next year. Rose over there, going to repeat. And that's a little yew tree in a pot. Another coreopsis down there. I do like coreopsis, but they do need watering. Got some runner beans growing on this new pergola, and that's a mint crisp which will continue to grow. The new pergolas are suiting me very well. That's a Viticella clematis there. Again, it's sort of over its best. That one's actually Madame Julia Carriere. I've actually got more runner beans round behind the little house, but I won't bother you with those. Oh, here's another Himalayan honeysuckle, Wisteria. I say they're winter hardy, keep their leaves. We'll go around the apple tree. This one's called Ashmead's Kernel. I took a lot of apples off it yesterday because there were just too many. Even now there are too many. So I'll probably have to take some more off. Yep, just too many. So here we have our red rose called Altissimo, which does repeat. It's just been so dry. No rain since I don't know when. More phlox. Another Wisteria. Now this honeysuckle, this is the mint crisp, and that was growing on the back fence.